All right. So this is my corona story thus far. Um, March the 10th, which is also my birthday. I took the day off work so I could just kind of like run some errands and have the day to myself. I was planning to go to Mexico for my birthday, but just due to like the coronavirus scare and also, I don't know, I just wanted to like stay home and have the day to myself. So I decided to stay home. That day, I started developing symptoms. So I had a dry cough and not even a fever. It was just a dry cough, tightness in my chest. And yeah, I didn't really know what was going on, but I was like, okay, fine, whatever. It's probably just a cold or something like that. And then that night, I actually started getting what I thought was a fever. So I was like sweating through my clothes and just really tossing and turning and feeling really, really cold, but my body felt hot, but I didn't have a thermometer. So then the next day, I spent around 2 hours calling everywhere I could to see if I could get tested. So I called the CDC, the New York Department of Health. I called various doctors. So we have like a city MD here in the city where it's like basically like a little clinic that you can go in, not long lines. You could go in and you could get tested. So I called there. I called 2 different locations and I asked them, can I get tested for corona? And they didn't really know what was going on. They said, no, you can't get tested here, and not only that, but I don't know where you could get tested. So after I called 2 city MDs, they said, no, you can't get tested here. So then I called the CDC. I was on hold for ages. I eventually was able to speak with someone, and they said that I should go to the emergency room. So then I was like, okay, that's interesting. So then I called the New York Department of Health, and they transferred me to a nurse. And then the nurse ended up telling me, after putting me on hold for a really long time, that I would need to be a patient of the system. And so she looked up my information, and I had actually gone like maybe 10 years ago to like Bellevue or one of the hospitals that are in the New York system. So my information was there. And then she spent about 10 to 20 minutes updating my information, which I was like, dude, like, if I really do have corona right now, are you sure you should be taking all this time doing that? But whatever. So then, after she inputted all my information, she said, okay, now you can, and you should go to the emergency room. So I was like, okay, fine. I'll do that. And so at that point, it was in the evening, and so I had actually had an appointment with my therapist that night, so I called him to tell him that I was going to cancel our appointment, and I told him that I think that I have corona, and he said, listen, he has a friend who works for the CDC, and he told him that they just got a large shipment of testing kits, and that I was supposed to go to like one of those like LabCorp places. I forget what it was called, but go to LabCorp. Basically, he's like, go early in the morning, like 7:30 before it opens, so that you can skip, a rush of people, and then go there and say that you want to get tested for corona. So I said, okay, great. This is actually some information that's happening here. So went to bed. The next morning, woke up at 6:30, got dressed and everything like that. I still didn't have a thermometer to test. So I just was like, I feel hot. Like, I think I have a fever. I'm coughing, and this time I'm like actually coughing up a little bit of phlegm. So then I walked the 6 blocks to the LabCorp. When I get there, there's a sign on the door that says, we do not do corona testing here. If you do have corona, stay off the premises. Do not enter the building. I just felt all of my energy just go out of me at that moment. So I sat down. You know how they have those bars around the trees here in New York? That's like a little fence. So I sat down on one of those fences, and I just didn't have the energy to walk back home. Didn't have the energy to call a cab. I was like, what the hell am I gonna do now? So I just sat there, and I called the emergency room at that point because I was like, I should just go to the emergency room. So I called the emergency room, and then they said, listen, the only way for you to get tested for corona is if you get admitted to the hospital. And they said, if you show up here right now, we're going to quarantine you. And I said, okay, wait a second. So you're saying that you're going to quarantine me, but you're not going to admit me? And they said, yes, that is correct. The only way that you could get tested is if you get admitted. And the only way to get admitted is if you are gravely ill. So I wasn't gravely ill. I was just, I just had a fever and I was just super weak and had that dry cough. So then they were like, we're just recommending everybody to self-quarantine. So I walked home. I stopped off at a drugstore, and I picked up a thermometer, walked home and tested myself, and I was like around 99.8. So it was kind of like a relatively low fever. Slept it out. The next morning, I felt amazing. I felt totally fine. All my symptoms were gone. I just felt, I had like a slight cough, but nothing else really. So then I actually was able to work from home. So I worked from home and everything was fine. Then around 9 o'clock, I got hit crazily. Like, I felt like I had no energy, no strength whatsoever. Alexa, stop. And I was basically dying. So I crawled into bed. I felt like I was drunk. Like, my whole body was shaking. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt like the world was spinning. My fever spiked to 101.5. And so I called the ambulance, and by the time they got there, my heart rate had slowed to 135-ish, because before that it was a lot higher. So my heart rate was slowed. So by the time they got here, I was like, I don't really want to go to the hospital anymore. So they just took my vitals, and they said, listen, your temperature is really high, and your heart rate is really high as well. So you should probably get seen by a doctor, but to be honest, your symptoms are still not at death's door, so you're probably not going to get tested anyway. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll self quarantine myself. So that was the latest. Over the weekend, I've just been nursing myself back to health. Thankfully, my roommate has been able to be there just in case, but for the most part, I've just been ordering supplies via Seamless. There's like a deli in the area, so I ordered some grocery items like some orange juice and stuff like that from there. I have a lot of bone broth, and my appetite, to be honest with you, has been absolutely nil. I haven't had the appetite to eat anything. I have eggs here, I have bacon, so I have food, but to be honest, like I said, my appetite has been really sparse. And it was just interesting because, so Brendan Burchard is, I would consider him my mentor right now. And he keeps talking about how, you should be there for others. We need to be leaders, da-da-da-da. And I just kept thinking about how I was like one of the first to go down. So like I'm just thinking, like, I don't know if this vlog will be of help to anyone, but I'm hoping that it will. I'll tell my story, and being quarantined here since the 10th, so what's today, the 15th? Is today the 15th? Yeah, so 5 days self-quarantine. I've just been having a lot of time to sleep and think and just try to get better, and like last night actually, okay, I'm reading Ray823 saying, it sounds like you have the flu right now. Oh, that's really sweet. What happened? So these messages, it looks like they disappear. How do I bring them back? Okay, there they go. Made me Epsom salt baths with the green alcohol in it. And then she made me lots of ginger, Theraflu, hottie toddies. I felt better after I stayed in the house. That's nice. That's amazing. Yeah, I definitely do have symptoms of the flu. So, but bright side to the story, over the weekend, I basically, my flu symptoms have been dissipating, so I've been getting better and better. But yeah, there's only so much you can sleep, and there's only so much, like that day, the one day on Friday when I felt better, I did yoga, and like I felt good enough to do yoga, but since that day I haven't really felt good enough to do any exercising and stuff like that. And like we all have these, not all of us, but I guess I always had these fantasies. Like, I'm a huge fan of Terminator 2, so like every single time you know, you see that scene where she's like working out in the mental institution. So it's just like, oh, if I was ever so cloistered, I would just be working out hardcore. It'd just be like coding. I'd be like getting so much done. But it's like, when you're kind of cloistered like this and you're sick, it's just kind of like you don't really have the wherewithal to do any of that stuff. And last night, actually, I woke up in the middle of the night and I was just like, I can't sleep another wink. Like, I wanted to sleep, my body wanted to sleep, but my hips hurt from, like, I needed somebody to, like, roll me over, because, like, my bones and my muscles, they were, like, so sore from the bed. It was really weird. But yeah, so I've had a lot of time to just think, and, like, just to think about stuff. And I had this realization that was just really interesting, and it was that I have an absolute issue with spontaneity and with just putting myself out there. Like, there's a serious blockage in me. And I realize that that's something that I'm desperate to overcome. Like, that has been stopping me so much from living the life that I want, from expressing myself creatively. And I don't know if you guys have ever felt the same way, but it's like you overthink it, you stop yourself from doing it, and you just like think about it so much that all your ideas just get so backed up, and then you end up not doing any of them because you have 100 ideas that are just in the freaking queue, backed up in the queue. And then at that point it becomes so overwhelming for you to do any of them at all. And I just, not only that, but the way that I grew up didn't help either, you know. So our dad was very, very controlling, and he didn't really let us, you know, he didn't let us socialize with anyone really. And we were basically just kept in, whether it was the hotel or the bus or the van or wherever it was that we lived, we weren't allowed to go out. And every time we were like excited about doing something, or excited to like leave our house or go play with our friends or do anything, he would always do this thing where he was like, wait. So he would like stand by the door, he'd be this guardian, and whenever it seemed like we were excited to do something or we wanted to do something, I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but he was like, stop, no, wait, with like anger in his voice. And then we would have to pray or read the Bible or read the word or just sit there. I don't even remember what, but we'd have to sit there until it seemed like we just really didn't give a shit. And then we were able to go. And so there's that, but then there was also, so I grew up in the Children of God, or the Family, which is like a religious organization. That's what my parents were in when we were born. And so one of their big teachings towards the end, toward like a little bit before, maybe 10 years before I left, was this thing called the gift of prophecy. And what that was that before you did anything, so let's say, you know, you got in your car, before you even turned the key, you were supposed to pray to Jesus or ask Jesus, what should I do? Should I turn the car on? So then you were supposed to listen to a voice in your head, which was Jesus, and he would tell you yes. And then you would like turn the car on, and then you would say, okay, should I go exit out of this parking lot? And then you would listen for a voice in your head, and then you would be like, should I turn left? Should I turn right? Nothing you did. And there were lots of Mo letters or lots of letters. So the letters and the Mo letters were the things that the family or the Children of God, they would send to us once a month, and that those were our teachings, and we would read them. And so there were a lot of things about like, okay, like, so it was basically like your life was like a partnership with Jesus, and you couldn't do anything without asking Jesus first. And for the past 10 years since I've been out, I have had to fight that so much, because my natural first instinct is to first question everything I'm doing with should I do this or should I not do this? Should I do this or should I not do this? And for the most part, if it's something that I really want to do or I'm excited about it, I will literally, today I was cleaning up my room and I had a thought that said, oh, maybe I should, sweep the floor. So I have my yoga mat on the floor right now. And I was gonna do like a little workout later. So a thought in my head was like, no, don't sweep the floor right now. Like, it's not like an actual audible thought, like a voice, but it's like my own thoughts, right? Is like, no, it's always no. My first instinct is always no, just because of like how I was brought up. So then I was like, you know what? If I ever want to kick this, if I ever want to learn how to live a spontaneous, happy life, I'm going to have to start countering all of that with yes. So then I was like, you know what? I'm going to sweep the floor anyway. Like, why is it always no? So I just got the broom out and I swept, even though I had like my yoga mat there, I just swept around it. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do whatever it is that I want. And then I was like, okay, I have been putting off posting on YouTube for a really long time. And because nothing's ever right. My makeup's never right. My hair is never done. You know, the set, the lighting, nothing's ever perfect. And as I was sweeping the floor, I was like, the next idea that I have, I'm going to do it. And that idea was for me to post this and to talk about my life growing up, and talk about the gift of prophecy, which is something that I've never told anyone. And it's something that haunts me and torments me to this day. And I'm hoping that this new streak that I'm on of just being spontaneous and just like nipping that crap in the bud by just doing whatever it is that I need to do, I'm hoping that this will really just make me progress in leaps and bounds. And I'm also reminded of, is it Mel Robbins? Do you guys know what I'm talking about? She has this like 1, 2, 3 theory or something like that, where she's like, whenever in the morning before thinking about getting out of bed, you just say it in your head. You say 1, 2, 3, and then you just jump out of bed, and then you just do that. And I'm thinking about that, and that's the solution. That's really the solution, because it's like, if you just live your life constantly fearing and thinking about what other people think about you, it's been tough. I can tell you that that's kind of like where I've been trapped for the past few years. But I'm actually just going to read these messages because I saw something here that was like really amazing. Oh my god, this is so sweet. Okay, let's see. To me, it helps to write everything down. I'm overthinking and I love that. Sorry you on TV. Aww. Really? Oh my god. Before I moved from New York, I had always hoped to see you play live and always seemed to miss your performances, but I hope you can. That is so sweet. So, you don't live in New York anymore? Oh, thank you so much. Yes. Oh, wow. Depersonalization where at time. Wow. Yes. So, when you grow up in an abusive household with parents who were very, or anyone, it doesn't have to be parents, with like a domineering presence in your life, or with things that happened that were surreal, like unbelievably surreal, like, you know, for example, your dad charging at you because you said something wrong and beating you up because of that. You do something where you depersonalize, where you like detach yourself. It's mostly a response to trauma. So whether for me the trauma was from physical abuse, but for other people it could be different trauma. You depersonalize, so you disconnect. It's almost like so surreal that your brain can't process it or handle it, so you just disconnect, and it's almost like for me, it felt like a feeling of acceptance of whatever it was that was happening. So when you see your dad rushing at you, like charging at you, it's almost like everything goes into slow motion, and all the energy just kind of like sinks out of your body, and you're just like, and you just shut down, and then you're just looking at it, and you're just like accepting your fate. And it's like, yeah, it's like you disconnect. It's like you disconnect from your body, in preparation of whatever it is that you see coming towards you, or whatever it is, whether it's someone screaming at you in your face or talking to you for like hours and hours through the whole night, and you're a child and you have to sit there and listen, and your dad's basically screaming at you so loud that spit is flying out of his mouth into your face. And so that's when the depersonalization happened, and it took me a really long time to just even accept that that's what was happening, because when you do go through these sort of traumatic experiences, your first reaction is to deny it. So you deny it from yourself, and you deny it to other people, and you don't want anyone to talk about it with you. When someone says, wow, that was not a normal thing, you're just like, oh, it was fine. You know, it really didn't matter. He was just going through it. He was just going through his feelings or whatever. Like, he didn't mean it. Like, he didn't mean to beat you like that. And really, I don't know what, I had a breakthrough at one point where I was done with denying. And this was around the time that I went on Oprah. And I was like, you know what? Like, my dad to this day, or my parents, they think that they don't believe that what they did was wrong. They believe that physically hurting a child is okay and that they were doing the right thing. And honestly, like, I've forgiven them in the sense that they went through so much in their life that led them to become people that would do that. So you really have to, David Goggins says that anything like that that happens to you, you own it now. It's yours now. You're the person that gave that to you is never going to take it back. So you have to take it on yourself. The memories, the pain, all of that. You have to then digest it. And David Goggins didn't say this thing about the digesting. I'm just kind of like coming up with it right now. But you then have to deal with it and really not, and own it and put the onus on you. Like, put that, it's not blame, it's put the, what's the word? You guys help me out here. Put the responsibility on you. So let me see what you're saying here. Yeah. Interesting. I like what you said about having so many tabs open in your brain. It's so funny because I feel the same way. I feel like, you know, it's almost like a fear in the way, because you're trying to stay on top of so many things. You're trying to be ahead of the game. You're trying to like protect yourself so hardcore that you're trying to be aware of any possibility that may arise. At least that's how it manifests for me. And that also shuts me down from being creative or doing the things that I want to do, because it's like I have so much in my brain that I can't focus on one of them to get anything done because I'm trying to stay on top of so many things. So yeah, I can definitely relate to that. So anyway, I wanted this to be, you know, my first video. There's New York City out there. Can't really see that much, but yeah, that's all I've got. So I guess I'll keep you updated. I don't have anything else to report in terms of corona. Like, I hope that I'll start feeling better as the days progress. But if I do have any other realizations, I will definitely connect. So Ray 823 is asking, would you say you are more of an introvert now as an adult? That's a really interesting question. I would say as a kid, or like as a teen even, I was never able to express myself the way that I wanted to. It was always according to what was accepted. So even though I was like this feisty person, it was like within the grounds of the belief of the cult. So if it was like, you know, whatever it was I was talking about had to be about Jesus or about, you know, I don't know, whatever it was that we were on about in the family. And when I say the family, you're gonna hear me talk about the family. I'm talking about the cult, the religion, not ginger Theraflu tea. I've never heard of that. Is that like a flavor of Theraflu, or did you just add ginger? Because I actually bought a bag of ginger powder and I've been making squeezed lemon. So I've been squeezing lemon in, putting some ginger powder in, and a little bit of honey as well with hot water. So that's been kind of helping. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything else to report right now. Do you have any questions? Oh, I didn't answer your question about being an introvert. Would I say that I'm more of an introvert now as an adult? I would say that I'm definitely learning to be more of an extrovert. I think I'm definitely introverted by nature, and like, you know, people always saw me on stage performing and I would always tell them, I'm an introvert. Like, I'm shy. I'm a really shy person. Like, you see me up here performing and like doing interviews and traveling around on tour and stuff like that, but like, that's not the real me. And they were just like, oh, are you crazy? Like, what are you talking about? Hold on one second. Sorry. Oh God, this is so gross. But yeah, I've been taking steps to overcome that. So boil the actual ginger root and then get some Theraflu, then add some lemon. Yes, okay. I love it. I actually do have some ginger in the fridge, so I will use that. Sorry about the shaking camera. Is that annoying with the shaking like that? Because I do have a tripod, but I was so desperate to get this stuff off my mind that I was like, I'm gonna just record this with minimal setup as possible. So I'm sorry if it's annoying to have it be moving around like that, but yeah. Oh my god, thank you so much, you guys, for watching. I'm gonna see if I can post more of this stuff in the future, if it's interesting to you at all. But yeah, I'm gonna sign off now, and I guess I'll see you next time. My website's down right now, but I'm definitely gonna work on putting that back up, and I'm gonna maybe post some Insta stories as well, get that going. So I will see you later. Bye. Bye. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you so much, Ray Raya. Bye.